Halo 2 flights are here, and for once, I actually got access. So yesterday, I got in and I played about 8 hours or so, and here are my thoughts so far. Let's start with just some overall thoughts on the product as a whole. I am definitely disappointed by the lack of customization options, and I'm now assuming that Halo 2 is not going to bring the next season of the Battle Pass unless they add on to it between now and release. Obviously also disappointed by the lack of Forge, although that was communicated to us beforehand, so it's not as much of a surprise. Does that make it okay? Not really. But at least I was not sitting around thinking Forge would be coming. Theater mode is also sort of funky, and I need to play with it a bit more, but the controls seem to be pretty weird on mouse and keyboard, although that may just be my lack of knowledge. Another thing that appears to be missing is challenges. I thought these were supposed to come with Halo 2 and be in the flight, but they appear to have not made the cut. Hopefully these are added before Halo 2 is released to the public, as challenges can give players something to come back for. Although I must add, unless they add new levels to the Battle Pass or a new season, a lot of people have already hit tier 100, so there's not much to grind for, and adding new challenges isn't going to give them much to do besides just more crap to complete on a daily or weekly basis. Alright, now that we have the basics out of the way, let's get into my first impressions of each of the new games, starting with Halo 2 Classic. Halo 2 Classic runs and plays extremely well, although I'm sure someone who has thousands of hours on OG Halo 2 or Project Cartographer is going to disagree. The graphics are obviously old, and to be honest, I think they've aged worse than Halo CE, but it runs extremely smooth, and using a BR and mouse and keyboard is pretty damn satisfying. I'm not going to get into the whole mouse and keyboard versus controller debate again, as it's pretty overdone, but each has its advantages, and I think unless you're trying to be a top level pro, you can just play with whatever you feel most comfortable playing on. I do have issues hitting some of the button combos on mouse and keyboard like the double or quad shot, but I think that's just an issue with me sucking. One thing I have not seen much of, but am worried about though, is mouse and keyboard players using macros for the different button combos. From my experience so far, this doesn't appear to be an issue, but it is something I hope 343 has an answer for, otherwise it will become a problem as more and more players realize they can do it without getting in trouble. The biggest issue I have noticed so far in Halo 2 Classic is the inability to crouch while moving, just like Reach on launch. I don't know if they intended to remove that functionality, but if they did, and it's not just an overlooked issue, I just don't understand what 343 is doing. I know some people, specifically controller players, think that mouse and keyboard players being able to crouch while moving ruined the way Halo Reach was meant to be played, as it does allow a bit of crouch spam. I think this is a dumb argument though, as without this feature, mouse and keyboard players basically cannot crouch unless they just stop moving. Regardless though, assuming it was intended to work like this in Halo 2 Classic, and it's not just an overlooked feature like I mentioned before, this is extremely dumb. Either 343 should change the way crouch functions for mouse and keyboard in all of the games, or none of them. Not this bullshit pick and choose that appears to be currently going on. As someone who plays mouse and keyboard, I hope this gets fixed, and fixed before Halo 2 launches to the general public, or I guarantee mouse and keyboard players will once again be turned off just like they were turned off at Halo Reach. For PC gamers, and not just Halo only players, this lack of responsiveness from the game just feels bad. I understand that this is how the games quote unquote worked in the past, however, those games were built for controllers, and updating these games with quality of life features so new players are not turned off is something I think Halo needs to do. I do want to note though that this is how crouch functioned in Halo 2 Vista, and how it still functions in Project Cartographer today. Crouch issues aside though, Halo 2 Classic runs and feels great to play, and I look forward to getting clapped more in the future. Now, let's move on to Halo 2 Anniversary. I want to start off just by pointing out that I personally did not play much Halo 2 Anniversary on Xbox. I moved on from the Master Chief Collection before a lot of the matchmaking issues were fixed, so besides a handful of games, I never got to play it. So this makes H2A effectively a new game for me, and also a new game to tons of other PC-only players. I point this out because this is the lens we're going to look at H2A from, not from someone who's already played countless hours of it on Xbox. H2A feels and looks like a modern game, and I truly believe it has the chance to attract new players, as in not already Halo veterans, to the Master Chief Collection in a way that Halo Reach, Halo CE, and Halo 2 Classic do not. While all those games are great in their own ways, less so with Reach, H2A offers a much simpler experience for new players who do not want to have to deal with a huge learning curve of tons of unintuitive mechanics that they have to look up and learn. I really hope 343 realizes this and gives H2A at least one ranked playlist when it launches to the public, and I'll link my video in the corner up there where I go into detail on why I think this. Now that that is out of the way, I understand that H2A isn't really Halo 2. It's only Halo 2 in the sense that they took Halo 4, ripped out some of the mechanics, and remade some old maps. I completely understand that. But it offers a more modern classic experience to new players than CE or Halo 2 Classic does, and I think this is a game that with some support could really carve out its own niche on PC. Remember, to many PC players, this is a new game, not the game that came out back in 2014 that you've all played for many hours. Do not get me wrong though, Halo 2 Anniversary has its issues. At times, the screen has way too much clutter on it and can make spotting enemies difficult. The battle rifle sounds like dog poop, the hit reg leaves something to be desired, not being able to move at all when you open the scoreboard is a weird design decision to say the least, the game plays a lot slower than actual Halo 2, along with it also only having 6 maps, and many other issues. At the end of the day though, if one of my friends who is not a prior Halo fan asked me if I would recommend trying Halo 2 Anniversary, I would tell them 100% yes. And I hope that all the H2 purists out there begin to realize that by just completely shitting on H2A, you're hurting the franchise as a whole. And I know you don't really care about that because you only care about Halo 2 because that's the game you love, but it is something you should keep in mind. You're putting people off of trying the game by making it sound like it's some utterly trash inferior product. Is Halo 2 Classic the technically superior game? Yeah. Does Halo 2 Classic have a higher skill gap for competitive players? Yeah. But for brand new players, H2A allows them the opportunity to experience a new Halo game without having to worry about learning button combos or anything like that. If you do not enjoy H2A or you prefer Halo 2 Classic, that's fine. Just play Halo 2 Classic, and you can share your opinions on what you don't like about Halo 2 Anniversary, but let the people who are enjoying Halo 2 Anniversary or want to play it and try it out themselves form their own opinions. One last thing I want to touch on in Halo 2 Anniversary, and this isn't something I've really noticed myself, but I have seen people complaining that just like Halo Reach, if you're playing with an unlocked frame rate, some of the animations can get a little stuttery, so just keep that in mind. I'm kind of disappointed that this is the case, and hopefully this is something that's fixed, but I'm not too hopeful it will be. I know a lot of people wish that the Halo 2 Anniversary from the campaign was the same Halo 2 Anniversary we got from multiplayer, and I will admit it is weird they decided to have 2 totally different versions, but this is the version we were given, and it isn't a completely bad product. I have been enjoying it so far, and while H2 Classic is the better game in a vacuum, Halo 2 Anniversary offers something that Halo 2 Classic doesn't: the ability to attract new gamers who do care about things like graphics and ease of getting into. Not everyone wants to try and get into a 16-year-old game that's full of people who have been playing it for 16 years. Sometimes just hopping into a game that's somewhat new to everyone is something that people enjoy. Everything does not need to be some black and white thing when it comes to these games, and just because Halo 2 Classic is the better competitive product doesn't make Halo 2 Anniversary useless. Halo 2 Anniversary also gives me hope for the rest of the Master Chief Collection and Infinite going forward on PC, because as far as I can tell, besides those animation issues, it seems to run pretty smoothly and play nicely. Hopefully the rest of the games are more like this and less like Reach in terms of performance. Lastly, I'll just touch on the campaign really shortly. Basically, I'll just say Saber Interactive did a fantastic job remastering the campaign, and it's a must play for anyone even moderately interested in Halo or FPS campaigns, and the PC does it justice. Anyways, so that's my first impressions of the flight for Halo 2 so far. While there are definitely issues that need to be fixed before this goes live, I think it's in a pretty playable state and I'm ready to move on to Halo 3. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. If for some reason you want to watch me play Halo or other random games, you can follow me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Arrrash with 3 Rs, or if you want to read my random thoughts, you can follow me on Twitter at Arrrash with 4 Rs. And I'll see you guys next time.